Madman Quail asks, "Hey Rye, if you ever got the opportunity to design a funky arena format, what would it be?" I'd have to sit down and think about that. I've never been one to just rattle off amazing designs just off the top of my head on command. Sometimes it happens. But in this case, like, trouble is I don't really like those formats much, which is what I would have to figure out. But just find a different hook. Like what I can speak to is how I would approach coming to an answer. If you were my boss and said, "Hey, we want more funky formats on Arena. Get to it." What would I do? I would start to look at, like, Omniscience is an interesting one, because they basically took a really powerful magic card and did a what if about it. So that's one way you could approach finding a wacky format, is take magic cards with powerful effects, or even look at emblems, planeswalker emblems, and ask yourself, what if we gave this emblem to each player? How would that change things? So take a look at, because one of the things that makes the formats really successful is when experienced Magic players can explain it by explaining existing cards. So that again is what Omniscience Draft does. It allows players to say, "Oh, it's like everybody plays with Omniscience in play. Great, I understand it, right? Oh, but there's these other rules." Or like, so being able to refer to existing cards to communicate the nature of your weird format is a nice upside. And then I would also be thinking in terms of styles of decks that might benefit from something more than another, like the fact that this wacky format now is on four CMC creatures draw you a card. That's saying, hey, let's do something to incentivize playing big creatures. And so you can look at what things you might want to incentivize. Oh, let's incentivize drawing a card. Whenever you draw a card, this happens. Let's incentivize instants and sorceries whenever you cast an instance or sorcery. So you can basically take any type of archetype or really beneficial thing for a given strategy and say, what if we leaned into that for a special format? So that's how I would approach coming up with a list of ideas for what to try. Then I would take that to a design meeting. I would say, here's what I'm thinking about. Here's what I think. Here's my top choices. Here's what I like. What do you all think? I'd get feedback from other designers. We'd probably take the top couple choices and go ahead and work with an engineer on coding it to test it and actually make sure it's fun. Or you could even, the thing with Magic, since paper cards exist, you can also just paper prototype your ideas. So say, all right, before we get a coder involved, let's make sure that drawing a card when you cast a CMC4 creature is fun. Let's play that in paper between us designers and establish that we like it and it's fun. And then when we say, yeah, it's fun, that's when we take it to actual implementation with engineers. You got it, Quail. So, and Stratic saying, I think we might need to move blue-white flyer to tier 1 and best of 1, since no hate cards can be boarded, reliably, and not many people play multiple bows best of 1. That's fair. I think it was just a terrible matchup for us when it shouldn't have been in the abstract, in the sense that green has a lot of main deckable cards that handle flyers. I think you're right that it's better. I don't, and maybe it's tier 1 even, if that's all you're saying. But that's an interesting thought.